Hey, Andy Costa here with Andy Costa Films, and this is Success Decoded, where I talk to extremely successful people, athletes, entrepreneurs, self-made millionaires, and I ask them the question, what made you successful? But today we're talking to Dak Prescott. You may know Dak Prescott from the Cowboys. He's the quarterback of the Cowboys. Had an incredible, hard upbringing, single mom, mobile home, didn't have much food. But Dak talks about values. You may have watched Everson Walls talking about self accountability. You need to become accountable to yourself. This is the same thing. So Dak is talking about the values that you need to have inside of you, the values that you need to identify that you have, and be honest and accountable to those values. So let's take a look.
And as you said, as it may perceive, from the inside out, the only reason that I am that is because I take care of the inside first and then allow it to work out. I'm very strong and very committed to who I am as a person, not what I do. So what I do is a football player. What I do allows me to be Dak Prescott, the quarterback player. But who I am is Dak Prescott, the youngest, I said, of three boys that grew up in a trailer park in a single home with a single home mom. That all these amazing values of work hard, selflessness, putting others before you, not being outworked, having a passion for what you do, being committed, being disciplined. All these things that I learned at a young age that I knew I had to double down and stay committed to those if I even wanted to touch my dreams and my goals and all these other things, is I had to be those first. Is I had to remember who I am, who my mom is, who my brothers are, right, of where I am and who I come from, because now everything else that I go do, if I'm not true to that, that won't last. I believe everything in my life has happened because I've stayed true to myself, as I've stayed true to who Dak is, and that's allowed me to elevate myself as a football player, elevate myself as a marketing guy, elevate my brand. It allowed me to elevate as a student because I had those values and I had everything that I wanted to do, and I set them out and allowed them to be reachable. That when I reached one and all these things that come from it, I didn't allow those to overwhelm me and say, oh, this is who I am now. No, this is just a goal that I've accomplished, and this is just what I do. But that's not who I am, and I think it's very important to separate those two, because today with this world and social media, you can easily get caught and blinded by who you really are just by what you do and how people see you. And those are two completely different things. I like to say that I have my real self is here, I have an ideal self of where I want to be, and I have a failed self if I don't handle the things of where I will be. And I like to stay right here because this allows me to, my ideal self says, hey, push there, but wait a minute, you don't want to be there, so keep pushing, right? We want to stay away from that failed self, but I have to know what those three things look like. And knowing my real self first and following those core values is what allows me to do that, I would say, so easy in a world that's full of distractions.
All right. Knowing what your values are, knowing what your successful self is, what your failure self is, and making sure that you try to achieve your successful self. That brings me to mind drug addicts. When you're addicted to drugs, you become a shell of who you are. But the drugs mask that failure, and you don't really look at that as failure, and that's when people lose hope. And when they lose hope, there's nothing else to hang on to. So knowing where you want to be, and making sure that you strive to be there, and making sure that you strive to stay away from your failed self as far as possible, is very important. But you can only do that if you know your values. There are some exercises out there to identify your values. The one that comes to mind is Tony Robbins. He has a very interesting exercise on how to figure out what your values are. And that's very important. And those are intrinsic values, the values that come from within you. So if you know your intrinsic values and you stay true to those, you will become successful. And if you do that, I will see you at the top.